The webinar link, the link to the webinar recording will be forwarded to everybody who's registered for this webinar and also placed on the home page of GreenFaith's website. So you'll be able to pass on the link to the recording or the link to our home site for others who might like to listen in. It's a real pleasure this evening to welcome Dr. Pankaj Jain, and I wanted to give you just a brief overview of the webinar before I introduce him more directly. After some introductions, Pankaj will review for us some of the most significant Hindu teachings in relationship to the environment. He'll talk about a series of Hindu eco-heroes, or as we call them later in the presentation, eco-gurus, and we'll have time for closing. A couple of logistical notes. Because of the number of people who've registered for the webinar this evening and the potential for disruptive background noise, we'll be keeping everybody on mute throughout the course of the webinar. That doesn't mean, however, that we don't want to hear from you. You have on your screen a chat function which you can use, or a Q&A function which you can also use to send questions in. And if you send those questions, I'll see them, and at an appropriate time, I'll pose those to Dr. Jain and work those into the discussion. So, if we are ready to get started, Pankaj, are you there? Okay, I think I may have you inadvertently muted, so I'm going to try that. Let's see. Pankaj, are you there now?
Yes, I'm here.
Good. I got you unmuted. So welcome, and thank you so much for joining us. Everybody has a picture of you there on the screen now, along with a brief bio sketch of your qualifications. Obviously, you are a scholar with a focus on Indian culture, Indic traditions, Indic films, Hindi and Urdu languages, as well as Sanskrit. And we know from our friendship with you that you like very much to explore the ways in which these ancient Indic traditions speak powerfully to contemporary issues. And we've been really pleased to have you as GreenFaith's Hindu and Jain scholar in residence. On a more personal note, tell us a little bit about what got you interested in the link between Hinduism and the environment. What got you started on this work?
Yeah, probably what got me started was my upbringing in India, and when I came here in '96, I did get a cultural shock as soon as I landed on JFK Airport and I saw these billions of cars flying by all over the airport and everywhere else. And the first question that struck me is how are these cars going to run once the gas runs out? Gas is not unlimited. Petroleum is not unlimited, and here are these millions and millions of cars. And what are we thinking? Are we thinking long term? That was the first question in '96 when I was not even in academic world. I just came as a software engineer, and America probably made me more religious. And in 2002, I decided to leave my IT career and join full-fledged as a student of religion first at Columbia, then at Iowa, and then I became a professor of religion and ecology here in UNT Denton in Dallas area. So that was the first question that question was always on the back of my mind. And then I took a course in Iowa when I was doing my PhD. I took a course on world traditions and ecology, and that course was also very inspiring, and I saw that there is a definite scope for all the world religions, traditions to be able to contribute to solve these global problems, not just ecology, but many other problems like health issues, like pluralism, diversity, how to live together. There are so many things that can be learned by studying the different traditions which have been living together for thousands of years in all over the world, and especially in Asia, where I come from. All these traditions have long history of living in harmony with the nature and in harmony with each other. So Hindus, Buddhists, Jains, Shintos, and Taoists and Confucianists have long history of living sustainably together as well as together with the nature. So then I decided to choose that as the theme of my dissertation, and I just didn't want to deal this topic just as theoretically, but I did go to India and studied this community in connection. I went to India. I spent my a lot of time there in India, and I thought that there is a great story to be told, especially the three communities that I chose for writing my dissertation. The Svadhyaya Parivar, which means the global family to study the self, which is the literal meaning of the word, Svadhyaya Parivar. Second is the Bishnoi community of Rajasthan, which have a history of about 300-400 years ago when they started in Rajasthan, and how they, the first example, and we'll see in the webinar in a bit, and the Bhil community, which have their own sacred groves. And so those were the three communities that I thought they are the concrete examples of living sustainably with the nature, and that's what became my dissertation, and now it has just come out this month as a book also, which you see on the screen.
And we want to congratulate you on the publication of the book. And as you said, we'll be talking about a number of the communities that you feature and describe in much greater detail in the book. But just so that everybody knows, the book cover is featured there. It's available from Ashgate Press, and we're so pleased that you've got that volume out there, and it's been very well received by critics in the field. Now what we're going to do is to have you, Pankaj, walk us through a number of important Hindu teachings in relationship to the earth, and I want to apologize in advance for any mispronunciations which I make, and I'm sure that I'll make some. But these teachings are all drawn from a document that you wrote for Greenfaith called 10 Hindu Teachings, 10 Vital Hindu Teachings on the Environment, and we'll be emailing a link to that document to everybody who registered for the webinar as well. It's also available for free on Greenfaith's website. But tell us about these first two teachings, Pancha Mahabhutas and Ishvasayam.
Ishvasayam, right, yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. So Pancha Mahabhuta, probably Mahabhuta might be a new word for many of us, but punch word is very, very, very common for us. We all drink fruit punches, and we get it from all the grocery stores in this country. So that punch really means 5. But what we get in grocery store is just some red or blue fluid, and it just doesn't have any 5 fruit juices. But technically, the fruit punch really should have 5 fruit juices. So Panch Mahabhuta, again, punch means 5. Mahabhutas means 5 great elements. 5 great elements are the space, the air, the fire, the water, and the earth. So what Indic traditions teach us, Hinduism especially, Vedic traditions, that these 5 great elements that constitute the environment are all derived from single divine energy called the Prakriti, the primal energy, the Brahman also. So each of these elements has its own life and form, and together these elements are interconnected and interdependent. So Upanishads, for example, another set of ancient texts within Hinduism, they explain that this interdependence of these elements in relation to Brahman, the supreme reality from which they arise, is all very, very connected. So it's a kind of a sequential process. So from Brahman arises space, from space arises air, from air arises fire, from fire arises water, and from water arises earth. So we see that all these great 5 elements, together they constitute the entire universe, and there is this interconnection between all these great elements. And not only that, but even going further, in Indic tradition, Hinduism especially, it recognizes that the human body itself is also composed of and related to these 5 elements. And they connect again with these body parts, with these great elements. So the human nose is related to earth, tongue is related to water, eyes to fire, skin to air, and ears to space. So this bond between our senses and the elements is the foundation of our human relationship with the natural world. So for Hinduism, for Indic traditions, for Dharmic traditions of India, nature and the environment are not outside us, not aligned, not alien or hostile to us, but they are an inseparable part of our existence, and they constitute our very bodies. So we are, in fact, microcosm. Our bodies are a reflection, an image of the macrocosm, the universe. They are completely interconnected, interdependent. So that's the first major teaching of Hinduism, Panch Mahabhutas. The second teaching is the Ishavasyam. Isha again means divinity or Brahman or to use a simple word, God. And Avasyam or Vasyam means that the divinity resides in every particle of the universe. So there are, even in several songs and bhajans and several films, this is very common saying all over India that Kan Kan mein Bhagwan. Kan means particle, Bhagwan means God again. So every particle of the universe is divine because there is a dance of divine energy in every particle. So every particle is divine, every particle. So if you take a look from Buddhism, in Buddhism also there is a saying that every particle has a Buddha nature. So even from Buddhism's perspective, every particle becomes divine because every particle is divine, is Buddha, potentially a Buddha element. So since every particle is divine, automatically the entire universe becomes reverential, to be revered, to be respected, to be taken care of. So these teachings together, Panch Mahabhutas and Ishavasyam, very powerfully give this teaching that the universe, all the natural resources, all the ecological resources are divine and not to be abused, not to be wasted, but to be treated very, very carefully, very reverentially.
And it seems to me from what I've learned from you that one of the things that's a remarkable environmental asset within Hinduism is that Hinduism is not at all shy about recognizing the presence of divinity within the earth. Many of the Western traditions are more reticent or hesitant to do that. Hinduism is very, it seems to me from what you've taught me that it's central to Hinduism to see the earth and various parts of the earth, whether rivers or mountains or forest groves, as direct manifestations of the divine.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for calling me teaching, but I don't think I can teach you. But what I've done is I compiled all these great teachings from the traditions, from the various gurus and contemporary gurus, and I've just compiled in this article. I'm just transmitter of the knowledge. So yeah, so Hinduism has all these forms of divinity. So all the rivers are treated like goddesses. Even the country of India is all the cows are treated like mothers as well. So earth and rivers and cows and even the wealth is treated as goddess. Knowledge is treated as goddess. So to give a divine status to any form, especially in the feminine form, is very, very common for Hindus. So even today, for millions and millions of Hindus, when they wake up in the morning, the first thing they have to do is they have to recite a Sanskrit shlok asking for forgiveness from the Mother Earth. Because when we wake up, the first thing we do is touch the Mother Earth from our feet. So that's a very disrespectful gesture from Hindu-Indian traditional perspective. So first thing they do is recite a Sanskrit shlok that, "Oh Mother Earth, I'm going to touch you from my feet, so please forgive me." So to inculcate this value to Hindus that you have to treat Mother Earth reverentially is not to be taught from outside, not to be not a new concept that because Mother Earth is sacred, but because Mother Earth is valuable, you have to treat her with all the respect. It's part of their being, it's part of their tradition for thousands of years. Millions and millions of Hindus still do recite that shloka. So I can even recite the shloka, but I guess message is already conveyed. So that Mother Earth is to be revered, to be taken care of. So
tell us a little bit about the two terms on this present slide, dharma and karma, words which many in the West are familiar with, but they may not understand them fully, and they probably don't necessarily understand their ecological significance or applications. How would you describe these two terms and these two Hindu teachings?
Yeah, this is probably one of the most favorite or the most favorite term, dharma. Dharma is such a powerful concept. If you go to the Sanskrit root of the word dharma itself, it comes from the root called dhri, which means to sustain. So that became part of the subtitle of my book itself, the Dharma and Ecology of Hindu Communities, sustenance and sustainability. So sustenance and sustainability, they can be connected with the word dharma. So dhri, root itself means to sustain. And dharma is then translated as duty, as virtue, as physical characteristic and religion. But in essence, dharma itself is all about sustainability because the word itself means to sustain. So and the word also comes from another ancient word in the Vedas called the word ritam. Ritam is also cognate with the word rhythm in English. So to maintain the rhythm, ancient Vedic seers, they used to perform Vedic rituals in which they used to recite the shlokas to maintain the rhythm of the universe. So by their duties, by their actions, by their offerings into fire rituals, the idea was to be able to maintain the rhythm of the universe. So that rhythm became eventually dharma. And dharma also is the same idea that to be able to sustain the rhythm of the universe by our present actions as humans, what we do is reflected in the universe. So again, this interconnection is very much reflected by our daily actions. We are causing all the results on the universe around us.